can start with, I guess, the cyber threats. I mean, that's almost as, still as topical as AI. But so in terms of how enterprises should be thinking about their cybersecurity strategy today, what are your thoughts? Because obviously it's a fast-moving landscape, and people talk about cyber resilience, etc. But just your thoughts as to where enterprises should be focusing when it comes to cybersecurity.
Sure. Well, it's pretty clear when you look at the threat landscape. It's not if you'll be attacked, it's when, it's how often, and what do you do when they get through. And in fact, when you look at surveys of CEOs, even despite the other issues facing the world, it still is in the top 5. And when you look at surveys of CIOs, obviously, it is either the number 1 or number 2 purchase intent for 2025 for CIO. So the CEO cares about it, the CIO cares about it, and obviously there've been so many attacks that are public, not to mention probably the 3 to 4x number that are never shown publicly, that you need to incorporate enterprise storage inside a comprehensive cyber security strategy for your entire data center, so you cover everything.
Okay, I guess on that basis, it'd be good to understand the difference between we call it next generation and traditional approaches to cyber storage resilience. What will people notice from one to the other?
Sure. So when you look at a traditional data protection strategy, it's focused on backup only. Okay. With next generation, it includes backup, but you need to also have cyber resilience on primary. So that's a difference right there. Second thing is the emphasis on cyber. Data protection traditionally is really about backing up the data, right? I got to back it up. Server goes down, something happens with the app, right? Maybe fire or flood, but that's really more disaster recovery than it is backup. So with next generation, it's primary storage as well as backup storage. Second thing is you want to infuse that protection, whether it be on the backup side or the primary side, with a huge dose of cyber awareness and cyber capability. And traditional data protection is, I got to back up my data, right? That's what it's about. And this is more about cyber with your backup and cyber on your primary as well. So that's essentially next generation data protection and traditional data protection.
Okay, and you mentioned that the CEOs and the CIOs are fairly interested in this topic, but I guess the CISOs as well have sort of stake in the game. So what advice would you give to them in particular when they're wanting to protect their enterprise? Just some thoughts for the CISOs.
Yeah. So the key thing for CISOs is don't leave storage out. In general, when you talk to a CISO, they don't think about the storage. They think about the edge, right? The moat. They think about how you can help with the moat. So there's alligators and piranha in the moat. You've got the wall, of course, the wall around your castle, but people get in anyway. Okay, so you need to look at this holistically. And for example, in our cybersecurity data center packages, not one of them covers storage. That said, at least in Infinidat, we filled that gap. We've created our InfiniSafe automated cyber protection, and that can easily integrate with a data center-wide cybersecurity package, so that when something like Microsoft Sentinel or IBM QRadar sees an attack vector, it can automatically send a note to us, and we'll start doing things in storage. We won't wait. We're not looking for an email. We're not waiting for the cyber guys to call up the storage guys if they remember to. It just automatically will send a note. So from a CISO perspective, you can automate the integration of enterprise cyber storage into a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy, and that's what you need to do. You need to protect the edge. You need to protect the core, servers and networking, the application layer. But again, in the enterprises, when you think of the big customers, right, the global Fortune 3000 across the planet, 90% of their most important data is sitting on their enterprise storage. So if you don't protect it, you're basically kind of leaving your door wide open when you go on holiday and say, my front door is open, my windows are open, come steal my stuff. And by the way, you post that on social media, you put a big sign in front of your front door. And by the way, you take out a billboard so that when you're driving to downtown London or you're driving to downtown New York, there's a big billboard said, Eric Herzog lives at blah, 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 blah. His front door is open. All his windows are open, not just unlocked, but wide open. And he's going to be on vacation. And by the way, all his most expensive stuff is marked. So you can see what to steal, what's not worth stealing. You know, the old record player, well, actually, maybe old record player probably is worth stealing now because it's a collector's item, but what to steal. And that's what happens if you leave enterprise storage out. It is that big set of the most valuable business and mission critical data is sitting on that enterprise storage. So if you do it right, you integrate with your data center cybersecurity strategy. If they have a security operations center, remember the old days it was the NOC, right? The network operating center. Now all the big enterprises have SOC, security operating center. So you can get storage to be seamlessly integrated with that, so that storage is part of the solution, not part of the problem.